Radio Free Pro Wrestling proudly presents Center Stage. Help David and Sean welcome this week's guest to the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, Premier Week is continuing, and we have one very special surprise for you. Right now, I'm on the phone with the newest Canadian import to the United States. She is none other than the Canadian national treasure, Bianca Carelli. Bianca, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much. That was such a lovely introduction. The Canadian national treasure. I love that.
So, Bianca, can you tell us what's the benefit of moving down to the United States, and how was the Canadian wrestling scene before the pandemic?
So before the pandemic, the Canadian wrestling scene, I'd say, was pretty good. And about in 20, I guess it would have been 2020. Yeah. I had so many bookings all lined up, and I was so excited. I was really going to take on the Ontario Indies. And then, of course, COVID hits, and everything really stopped for about a year, maybe even a year and a half, which was really, really hard. And definitely one of the reasons why I decided I need to move. Canada, even now with the vaccine and the regulations, is really bad. But I know the States, wrestling is huge. There's always so much going on. And so I decided to, after finishing my degree, pack up and leave to Orlando. And I've done that. And, I'm just starting to get my feet wet on the indies here, but I'm loving it. It was a great decision. It was a great move.
Bianca, you were a part of the first ever NWA Empower. Can you tell us how it was being a part of that show? Because I did watch it, and there was a lot of feel-good moments, especially at the end where everybody was had that group hug. It was all the emotions. Yeah,
that was a big honor for me. And I felt like it was, probably one of the biggest moments. Yeah, it is. In my wrestling career, that kind of marked the beginning of my journey to the United States. I got to participate in my first main event, my first pay-per-view, my first match in America, all in one. So it was such an amazing experience. I met so many amazing women, legends, absolute legends, and then up-and-comers. And, it was really, the energy was so amazing. Like, everyone was so supportive of each other. Even like the male wrestlers from NWA were so supportive too of the all-women show. And it was just such a good, positive environment. And historic. The people of St. Louis, that Chase Park Plaza show is so historic to them and so important to them that also contributed to this amazing energy that I was literally so honored and blessed to be a part of.
When did you find out the Cup was going to be the main event?
Okay. So, it's funny that you asked that, because I thought that I had been scheduled for the tag tournament. And so I had an interviewer. Her name's Ella. She's a wrestling gal. I had her contact me to do an interview. And she goes, I'm interviewing everybody that's in the tournament, the main event. And I said, oh, well, then you've got the wrong girl. I said, because I'm in the tag tournament. And she goes, no, I'm pretty sure you're in the main event. And I said, no, you got it all wrong. And then so I went back to my email from Mickey James and I read it and I said, oh, damn, I am in the main event. Oh my God. And it was so exciting. I didn't realize, probably for a month, I didn't realize. But when I did, I was just so excited. It was so cool to be part of that.
Do you believe that we're entering a new golden era of women's professional wrestling?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It is so different now than it ever has been. And, it is people like Mickey James and Jazzy and Medusa and Gail Kim and, all the other women that have always ever wrestled from the beginning. Every single woman who's been a part of this industry has really helped pave the way. And we see so much has evolved in women's wrestling now. And, as the title of the event was Empower, it's really become empowering. And I think people are looking at women's wrestling a lot different now and realizing, wow, these women can tell amazing stories. They're very athletic. They can do some cool stuff. And, the fact that there's so much positive attention towards it now is really great. And, I don't know if things didn't develop this way. I don't know if like my father would really, have encouraged my wrestling dream, but the way that things have changed and it is in this new light, that's what gets my parents really giving me their support, because there's so much potential and there's so much strength and such positivity around it. And I think that's a really nice thing now.
Exactly, because I was watching that show and I saw Medusa come out and she gave the tag titles to the winners. And I'm going like, if she was like a generation ahead of her time, if she was in her prime today, she'd be one of the top female wrestlers in the world.
Oh yeah, absolutely. She is cool. She is strong. She is tough. She carries such a presence. It was so nice to even just get to meet her and be around her because, she's a big inspiration.
Speaking of your father, you did train with him for a bit. So I have a question. How hard was it for you guys to switch from father-daughter to teacher student role?
I mean, it definitely had its difficult moments. It also had very rewarding moments. I don't call him coach in class. I just call him dad. So like that probably was funny for some of the kids in the class or the students, but he's my dad. I definitely felt like there was maybe a little more pressure on me to do well and try hard, because I was the coach's daughter. So I always did and always still do give my best and try my best. Naturally, when you get feedback from your parent, you might take it a little more to heart. So that's something I had to work on because obviously I want the praise from my father and I want to be told I'm doing a good job, but you're not always going to be told that you're doing something great. Sometimes you need the hard truth, if that could be better. It's more advantageous to me if he says that looks like crap than if he says, oh, good job, So especially in this industry, like every type of criticism or any type of feedback, you have to make sure you don't take it personally because anything that someone tells you is just going to make you better or open your mind. And so, obviously it took some getting used to, but, I already miss having him as my coach. I loved those moments learning from my dad. Those will always be very, very special times.
That's cool. See, I actually worked 11 years with my mom in the restaurant industry. She was a manager. So for my 16th birthday, she got me an application and I need some help. So I went all the way through college working with my mom. So I always had that, oh, you're the manager's son kind of title. So I kind of understand.
Yeah, that's probably really similar.
What is a misconception people have about you, Bianca?
A misconception. That's tricky because I'm not so sure what people do think of me. I would have to say, I feel like oftentimes because I'm very, bubbly, loud, happy person, I think sometimes maybe people don't expect that I'm actually as serious as I am. I'm very, very focused, very determined. I know what I will accept and what I won't accept in my life in terms of like relationships or compromising or just my day to day. Like as much as I like to joke around and have fun, I don't let things stand in my way. And I feel like I'm actually a very firm person, which some people might not know at first when they see me laughing and giggling and joking around all the time. But, that's just where my mentality is. It's good to have fun and enjoy life, but you have to stay focused and life's not a joke. So it's about finding that balance between playfulness and seriousness. And I think sometimes people might not think I'm serious because of how playful I am.
So have you had a moment where you've been in a ring or just anywhere where you went, oh, wait a minute, I just did it like my father did it?
I don't know. Like, it's hard to say because I feel like I do have a lot of similarities to my dad, but I don't think that I would necessarily notice just because like, that's just how I am. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so I couldn't think of that. Like, I feel like there's been times where people have been like, oh my God, you are like your father's daughter. Or, oh my God, you just did that the way your dad did. And I'm like, really? So I don't really notice it myself. I think that's just because like any similarity, it's just like a natural similarity. It's not like intentional.
I understand because like when I was working with my mom, I didn't realize I would pick up things that she would do. I'd already had an employee say to me one time, you sound just like your mom. And I was like, well, wait a minute.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So later on and moved to a different job. And I just started realizing as I was managing, I do work just like my mom in a way. And it's kind of cool.
Yeah. See, it's like you said, it's like you didn't even really notice until somebody pointed it out. But I guess it makes sense, right? Like it's genetics and upbringing and all that.
If you spend enough time around your parents, you're going to have to pick up something.
Yeah, absolutely.
I want to know that if she gets the choice in this day and age and she gets similar contracts, who would she join at this moment in time? AEW or WWE, given the chance?
Such a hard question for me to answer because, like, obviously, WWE is WWE. It's a long time. It's established. AEW is a new company, and like I've heard there's a lot more creative freedom. And just from what I've heard, like both companies have their advantages and their disadvantages. So I mean, like that's like everything in life. There's going to be a positive and there's going to be a negative. So you just kind of have to figure out what works with you. So like for me, I feel like I couldn't really answer that question until I had been in both environments and found what environment was more suited to my personality. So it's like, that's like saying, what do you like better, like Smarties or M&Ms, but you've never had either. So you don't really know, you're just guessing,
Exactly,
So,
yeah.
I mean, if it was the exact same contract, like I would work for either company. Like, I'll be completely honest. Both companies I would work for in a heartbeat because like I want to wrestle. They're both wrestling companies. Like that would be an opportunity, either one that I would never turn down. So like, I don't really want to say one over the other, just because like, I just want to wrestle, plain and simple. I want to entertain. That's what I love to do. So like I said, I feel like I would have to see which one I vibed with the most, as much as that much might sound like a hippie answer. But you know what I mean? Like you might think, oh, I really want to work for WWE, or, oh, I really want to work for AEW. But then you get there and maybe like the environment isn't exactly what works for you or what you'd hoped for. So I'd have to see.
Exactly. I understand completely. And I mean, both rosters on the female division, they're amazing. So it's like a win-win. It's like you could do both.
Absolutely. Like there's like, I watched like the AEW pay-per-view like that just passed. And yeah, like when they had the women's battle royal, like you can just see all the amazing talent. We've obviously seen battle royals as well with like WWE, and again, so many amazing females. So it's like no matter where you go, like there's amazing people to work with, and any opportunity I would just be so thankful for. I'd jump right on that.
Okay, I listened in different interviews. I know you want to main event WrestleMania one day. So I won't give you the power to main event WrestleMania. Who's your opponent?
Who's my opponent? So I feel like I change this answer all the time because like there's always so many interesting women to work with. And I feel like there's so many different like opponents that would just be so cool to take stage with. I would love to work with, for WrestleMania. Honestly, I'm always drawn to say Asuka. I'm always drawn to say Asuka. I just love how she works. I think she is so awesome. Awesome. And everything she does looks so vicious. And I just love her wrestling style. And I feel like, I could have such a good match with her. And like I've mentioned this before in some interviews, like one of her trainers was actually also a trainer of mine. So I know that we have some like a similar learning, some similar training. So I kind of feel like maybe that would mesh well.
I think it would be an interesting match. As I'm thinking about it, I was going to say, hey, you should pick Beth Phoenix because I think that would be a great match too.
Ooh, yeah, like storyline. You dated my dad. That'd be funny.
Well, I think you guys would match up physically too. I'm just like thinking, if she had one last match, why not have it with you? Then that'd be the perfect ending to the story.
Wow, yeah, I like that idea. I never thought about that. That would be an awesome match. I think maybe your answer was possibly better than mine. That would have like a huge, like, there would be meaning to it. It wouldn't just be like, oh, I really like this wrestler, like I should wrestle them. It'd be like, wow, like there's a whole other layer here, like a full circle layer. I see where you're going with that. That's smart.
Yeah, it's just a bit of a deep dive, but for the people who know, they would know.
Yeah, no, I like that idea. If someone asks me that question in the future, I might be using your answer.
You have my permission. You can take my answer.
Okay, thank you. We'll do.
We are coming a day after the 20th anniversary of 9/11. Bianca, do you remember 9/11?
Yes, I absolutely do. And I must have been about 5 years old. And I remember sitting in class, and then the announcements came on, and must have been the principal announced to the whole entire school what had happened in the United States. And it was just like silent. And it's so crazy because that moment was years and years and years and years and years ago, but it will always be forever etched in your mind. Like there's always those moments in your life that you never can get out of your memory. And that was definitely one of them.
Exactly. I still remember being in my state's government and politics class and having the teacher come in and actually tell us. And I was also have a friend at the time whose father was the senator from Tennessee. And I remember talking to her and her just needing to figure out a way to find if she can get a hold of her dad that day. So it's this
God.
flash in your mind on that day. And I can't believe we're 20 years past it.
Yeah, 20 years. That's pretty crazy. Wow, time flies by. It really does. But that's so sad because then when you think of all those lives, that were lost, it's such a shame because there's 20 years of life so many people could have had. And it's just such a shame the things that people do to each other sometimes on this planet.
Exactly. It's this stuff we'll never understand why. I don't think there is a why to it. How did you get involved with the Purple Warrior?
So, they actually contacted me on Instagram, and they asked, if I'd be interested in helping with their initiative to support like epilepsy awareness. And a really good friend of mine from wrestling class has epilepsy. And, I feel like people might not be so aware of what the condition is and, how it affects people. And, it's actually pretty high. Like the stats that I was shared said that 1 in 100 people actually have epilepsy. And I found that to be a really high number. I was actually quite surprised because 1 in 100, that's a lot. And, especially with our society today, like on our phones, like there's always these, these bright lights or, in public, you might not be thinking about how someone might respond to certain brightness or certain noises. Or I think also like some epileptic seizures can just happen for no reason. There doesn't even need to be any stimulation. So, I just feel like the more informed people are in general about any cause, the better, because then in case of an emergency, we might be able to protect our loved ones, save a life. Like when it comes to my friend who has epilepsy, if I could spread awareness and God forbid something ever happened to my friend, maybe he'd be safer in a dangerous situation because somebody saw a post about it and they know how to help, or they know how to identify the condition and they can call an ambulance or, help keep him secured until the seizure subsides or things like that. Right. I feel like with anything in this world, like knowledge is half the battle.
Exactly, Bianca. I agree with you. Me working in the retail industry that I do, occasionally we do have episodes where people suffer episodes in our store, and knowing what to do in that moment helps out a lot.
Absolutely. Because then you can be prepared and you could be saving a life.
Bianca, you just had your first victory in CCW Coastal Championship Wrestling. How was your first experience?
That was awesome. I had so much fun. The crowd was amazing. They booed me like anything. I loved it. I loved every moment of it. They were so much fun to perform in front of. My opponent, that was her, I believe, her second or third match. And for her second or third match, she did an amazing job. She was great to work with. So I was very, very happy. And it's just so nice now to have opportunities to wrestle in this country. That's why I moved here. And, I actually have to thank you for getting me in touch with the CCW. That honestly, you have no idea how much that means to me, that you were so kind and helpful and helping to set that up, because, that's what I moved here for. And you really helped me actually get my feet in the Floridian wrestling waters. So thank you so much for that, because I had a wonderful time.
Bianca, when I saw Nelio post like the promo picture of you in your first match, he didn't tell me that he talked to you, and I just saw it organically. I went, "Oh, they talk." And I was like, "Yay!"
Thank you so much for that. Yeah, he was great. Nelio is so nice, and I'm gonna be working with them again on Sunday, so that is exciting. And then I'll have my second Floridian match.
Okay, one final question before we let it go. Is there one weird thing about us Americans you had discovered yet?
You guys like speed. You guys drive really, really fast. Like compared to Canadian speed limits, I swear, like I really only know kilometers, but I think you guys must be going about 160 kilometers sometimes on the highway, which I'm not sure what that is in miles, but boy, oh boy, like you guys drive really, really fast.
Yeah, I think the general conception is if you see the speed limit, you can guarantee people are probably going 10 to 15 miles over that. And you're just like sitting there going like, why in the world are they going so fast? I understand completely.
Yeah, I was very shocked, but it's been neat. I've been really enjoying kind of discovering America and the differences. Like you guys still have pennies. We don't have pennies in Canada. The gas actually flows faster out of the gas pump here into the cars. It goes much faster. So I spend less money and less time filling my car with gas, which is great. Saving money, saving time.
So you did mention that you have a match coming up today in Palm Beach, Florida. Bell time is 6 p.m. and you can get tickets at ccwwrestlingfl.com. So if you're in Palm Beach, come out, see Bianca Carelli get her second victory.
That's right.
Bianca, thank you for coming on Radio Free Professional Wrestling. I have enjoyed this time we spent together.
Thank you so much for having me. And again, thank you for, everything, helping me start off my American wrestling career. I really appreciate that. And it's time we've had to talk. So thank you.